We just had our first and only Duo Cash Cup before the LAN event and answered a lot of our questions. Who's doing really well, who's struggling, and who didn't even qualify. I also want to talk about why Clix fans are saying Peterbot is now targeting Clix and trying to grief him, and is going to do so at the LAN event as well. We also had Mongraal and Savage playing some of the best Fortnite I've ever seen from them, and so much more. There's a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. Let's kick off talking about NA. Now remember, this is the only in-game Battle Royale Duos tournament before the LAN since this season started. So a lot of teams who have picked new drop spots, this is our first chance to see how they're looking, not only at their new drop spots, but in the new meta. Our first time seeing the pros play without the jetpacks as well. And it was a super interesting tournament. Now remember, Epic also changed the format of Duo Cash Cups this season. It's only 1 point per elim and open. So the points are much lower and it's much more placement heavy. Now let's talk about NA first. Clix and Veno put on an absolute clinic, winning 4 games in the opens. They got a 42 kill win to kick things off. If you want to watch that, it's on my React channel. Go check it out. We got a 16 kill win, 15 kill win, 7 kill win, 17 kill 5th, and a 9 kill 9th. Now, despite all of that, getting 448 points, they didn't even win the tournament. They lost to an EU team. We had Revscard and Frodoxy take it home in the NA Opens. Now remember, Revscard and Frodoxy, while being 2 of the most decorated players in EU history, both phenomenal players, they didn't even make it to LAN. Like, no offense to either of these guys, not like they're absolutely decimating EU, came over and won it on NA. I was so surprised to see Revscard again at the top of the leaderboard. I'm sorry, Revscard, if you're watching. I'm sorry, man, I love you, but I did not expect to see this. Now, outside of this, though, with Revscard and Frodoxy, the rest of the leaderboard was extremely stacked. We had Dukes and Sphinx, another global team. Chiefs and Iomzo, another global team. Remember, Chiefs is playing from EU right now as well. So we also got top 4 with 1 player from EU. Then we had Oliver OG and Byla, very again unexpected duo to see in the top 5. A new duo, I guess. They also played Brazil together, which was super exciting. We had Peterbot and Poyo, another LAN team. Muzz and Epic Whale, another LAN team. Aviv and Booger in 9th, Acorn and Cold in 12th, Barker Pars in 11th. I love this new format. I know a lot of pros are going to complain about it. Oh man, I dropped a 40 bomb and I got basically nothing. All I'm seeing is one of the most stacked finals I've ever seen on EU and NA, and I'm really enjoying it. No more late queuing, dropping 40 bombs. You can't absolutely bottle out in the middle of the tournament and then just drop a 40 bomb and all of a sudden you're back in it. I know some people say that's a good thing. You know, you can always have that chance to get back in it, but I love rewarding the consistency. It led to super stacked games, and overall, I really enjoyed this Duo Cash Cup more than any I can remember. It wasn't just NA either. EU, we had Trulex and Chicho win it, Cringe and Twide, Diox and Mappy, Seti and Cammy, Mongraal and Savage in 5th. I was so impressed watching Mongraal and Savage in the opens. They were dropping Raft, one of the most contested POIs on the map right now, and they got a top 5. Again, I made another video on my React channel watching Mongraal drop a 40 bomb solo duos in one of the skin cups. A lot of people saying it's a skin cup. Aussie, calm down. It doesn't mean that much. I'm telling you, Mongraal is the best he's looked in an extremely long time. And that went for the finals as well. I'll talk about the finals in a second, but Mongraal and Savage are looking very good right now. We had Yanis in 6th. We had Swizzy in 7th with his new duo Yapko, pretty much confirming who Swizzy is going to be playing with coming into Global Champs. Unfortunately, it is official. Vanya will not be attending Global Champs. He could not get his visa. Extremely sad. I'm glad to see at least Swizzy has a good chance with Yapko. They are playing extremely well, getting again 7th place, their first time playing together in a duos tournament. Again, it looks like Swizzy and Yapko are going to be contesting Peterbot and Poyo at the Raft as well. Swizzy and Yapko went the Raft in finals, so it looks like that is their set lobby drop spot. Again, I'll talk about finals in a second. We had Vico in 9th, Volko in 12th, Giras in 15th, Pablo, Chap. So many good teams. So I don't know. I'm a huge fan of this new format, and both EU and NA led to very stacked finals. Jumping over to the finals on NA, we had an insane performance from Aviv and Booger, bringing it home in first on 332 points. Remember, elims in the finals are only worth 2 points, not the 4 they used to be. So again, points are a lot lower. They played phenomenally well. 7 elim 5th, 3 elim 21st, their only bad game, 10 elim win, 6 elim win, 4 elim 3rd, and a 2 elim 10th. They played extremely well. And this is a team that a lot of people have been concerned about. You know, Aviv and Booger did really well at the start of the chapter. They qualified for LAN, but I feel like, you know, Booger's getting a little bit washed. We haven't seen Aviv play on LAN before. I don't think they're going to do very well. Apparently not. They are looking extremely good right now. They are currently dropping uncontested now. Malibu Mustache stops dropping at them on Doom's Courtyard. It's a really solid drop, and most of the zones were actually south focused. Now this is on EU and NA. I hope we don't see this at the LAN. I noticed way more desert zones than any other zone at the moment across the 12 games. Could just be a coincidence, but I really hope we don't see a massive zone bias like we did at last year's LAN. There's 12 games in the finals, so hopefully that'll even out a little bit, but Aviv and Bugha didn't get gifted zones, and they played extremely well. Now, a team you're expecting to see in second place at this point, Peterbot and Poyo, 283 points. Now, Peterbot and Poyo were only contested by one team though, Trashy and Threats, and when they're conned by Trashy and Threats, both teams do not fight on spawn. They usually split the loot. There's more than enough for both duos and disengage. Now, remember, at the LAN, this is not happening. So far, we have Kazi's team from OCE dropping on Trashy and Threats' side, and it looks like Swizzy and Yapko most likely will be landing on Peter and Poyo at their side. So we'll have to see what this means for LAN, but when Peterbot and Poyo get the drop spots for themselves, they're looking extremely good. Now, most of their games where they had issues was because they were playing very aggressively towards Clix and Veno's forecast tower. This is going to upset a lot of the Clix fans, but Peterbot really has stamped his mark on the forecast tower. They were doing this a lot in scrims, and honestly, I wrote it off as Peterbot just wanting to kill Clix and fight him, and you know, he was just kind of getting bored like he does in scrims. He needed an excuse, so he said, oh, I want to go for the forecast tower. No, it looks like he actually wants to go for the forecast tower. Whether he'll be able to at LAN when he's now contested by a team who's going to slow him down, I don't know, because Peterbot and Poyo would loot the POI instantly, straight up rush over to the mountain, take it from Clix and Veno, who have a much wider area to loot, and they basically just couldn't fight them for it. Peterbot and Poyo even going so far to break out Clix and Veno's launch pad so they can't even launch on them and even try to fight it. Now this, you probably think absolutely ruined Clix and Veno's tournament. Oh, they played awfully. No, Clix and Veno still ended up in third place overall on 244 points. Veno did go on to social media to say that he's not enjoying the changes with the jetpack. He much prefer when there's mobility in the game. He thinks mobility makes the game more skillful. There's always that argument. Mobility could make the game less skillful because anyone can just get around the map whenever they want. They don't need to know where the zone goes or be smart or position well. They can just, you know, shockwave there or fly there with their jetpack. Veno is on the other side of things, arguing that you can play your game perfectly and all it takes is one bad zone pull that's opposite to you, and now you do terribly and it's not your fault. Where at least with mobility, if you don't get lucky with the zones, you can overcome that with skill of using your items. It's always that constant battle between the two. You can say wherever you fall on that one. I originally wasn't super excited to see the jetpacks gone. I was pushing for them to stay in the game, as you guys all know, but honestly, watching the meta right now without them, it's pretty exciting. It's extremely skillful, but I understand the frustrations of not getting a zone, being fought on backside and just going down because the teams around you are being idiots. Having forecast massively overcomes that, and obviously Veno and Clix are used to having forecast quite a lot. So if Peterbot and Poyo don't take it at LAN, Clix and Veno are going to do extremely well. I'm interested to see what happens though if Peterbot can somehow close out his spawn fight quickly, or if Swizzy and Yapko don't end up dropping on them. I will say we had a very interesting game 6 specifically. Aviv and Bugha were so far in the lead, and Peterbot and Poyo had such a big lead over third. The only way Peterbot and Poyo could win was trying to take down Aviv and Bugha. They didn't drop on him. They didn't go for the full Veno versus Cammy at internationals. They did still land at the raft, but they started pushing north trying to find them. And I want to show you this clip from this moment when Bugha spotted that Peterbot was keying him.
Now, Bugha knows that's Peterbot. He just saw the scan. Fucking run. Go, Bugha, run. He saw the scan and was like, oh, no. Okay, so Peterbot might not know which one Bugha is, but Bugha definitely knows which one Peterbot is. He's literally gone into the ocean.
Now remember, Bugha's in first, and basically the only way he loses by going down to Peterbot, so obviously he has a lot to lose. I don't think Bugha just instantly runs from Peterbot every time he sees him, but it was pretty funny to see just how much, you know, one of the best duos in the world is still scared of and respects Peterbot. Of course, as soon as the scan went off, he knew who it was and he started swimming to the other side of the map. He did end up doing really well in this game, out-survived Peterbot and Poyo, went on to get a 10th place overall, so it worked out and it was worth it, but I still thought it was funny. In 4th place, we had Batman, Bugha, and Rapid. Again, another Globals team. Dukes and Sphinx in 5th, Muzz and Whale in 6th. So top 6 teams all going to Globals. And for the most part, most of the big NA teams did pop off and make it into the finals and do extremely well. We were missing some big names though. Reed and Wittrels, Cooper and Kanata, and Paper and Victor V all did not even make it to the finals. So unfortunately for these three teams, we don't even get to see how they're looking coming into the LAN with an actual official tournament. We just have to go off scrims and hope that's enough, because they don't even get to play a single tournament as a duo on this meta. We also had Day and Ozone in 7th. Big shout out to Day, a name that we don't see on top of the leaderboards too much anymore, but apparently low mobility is his meta, doing extremely well, getting a 7th, 10th, 8th, and 5th. It wasn't like, old school Day dropping 20 bombs and, just getting carried off elims. They played extremely smart and extremely well. It was really awesome to see Day back up on the leaderboards. I want to go through some of the other LAN teams, kind of give you an idea of how they're performing coming into the event as well. We had Shadow and Virgo in 17th, Barker and Paz in 18th, Acorn and Cold in 19th. Now, I was really hoping for a lot more from all three of these teams. Acorn and Cold uncontested at Brutal Beachhead. When I'd show you EU, Antics and Sato, the team at LAN who's contesting them, did much better than them with the same situation. So I'm not sure what happened to Acorn and Cold here in the Duo Cash Cup finals. I know Barker and Paz are getting a lot of heat on social media, mostly from Peterbot for being unconned at LAN. Peterbot saying they are nowhere near good enough to deserve this. I'm pretty sure it's Peterbot and Poyo just trying to get teams to land on them so he can try to take their forecast tower in case he can't get the one from Clix, or if he knows he's going to be contested. I think he's worried that Barker and Paz might be able to third party, but there's a bit going into that. We had Ages and Rise in 24th. Again, another LAN team not doing as well as what I was hoping here. For the most part though, our LAN teams did do extremely well and did place in that top 10. The only other one I didn't mention, I believe, is Trashy and Threats, who came in 9th. Moving on over to EU, we had Vico and Flixie, the reigning FNCS champions, bringing it home in first on 284 points, winning 2 of their 6 matches. They looked extremely solid, and again, they're doing it out of uncontested Reckless Railways, which they're going to have at LAN again. So it's a very good sign for Vico and Flixie to continue that momentum going from last season. Now, the reason why they're now uncontested is because Chap and Teeny are no longer dropping on them and have gone over to Underworld. Now, I mentioned this because this did not go very well for Chap and Teeny. They came 46th overall, getting only 10 points in 6 matches. They won 1 of their 6 spawn fights. Now, Teeny went on to social media to say they have no idea why Ping and Wox would grief the team next to them that are then going to be versing them at LAN next weekend. So it looks like Chap and Teeny were caught a little bit off guard for why Ping and Wox were playing so aggressive. I don't know whether Ping and Wox will do this on LAN. There are more teams around them when it does come to the Global Championship, but either way, when it came down to Chap and Teeny versus Ping and Wox had them beat. Chap and Teeny went on social media to reaffirm though, despite the performance, they are still going Underworld at the LAN event. So I was a bit worried for Vico and Flixie. When a team switches their position and then does poorly, there's a good chance they go back to the backup plan, which is back to landing on you. This also made me think maybe they're going to land on Cooper and Kanata again at Nitro Drone, but again, it looks like they're going to stick to the Underworld. Now, we do know Teeny, known in the past for doing the Misha Teeny strat. If you guys missed that grand finals where they came top 3, they did it by landing at like 10 different locations in 12 games, just all over the map, dropping random spots, ratting on people, taking them down. I don't think they're going to be able to do that at LAN, but maybe their plan is to have a few drop spots they know well and switch between them or catch people off guard. I don't know, but they have to do something very different to what they did in the Duo Cash Cup finals today. Now, in second place, we had Antics and Sato, a team that a lot of people have been very quiet about, myself included. Antics and Sato qualified in Chapter 5 Season 2 by pulling off a monumental comeback on day 2, but the next season, they didn't even make semi-finals. So I was very worried to see how this team is looking. Were they a one-day wonder team? They made their way to LAN, only doing well on one day of FNCS. Turns out I myself and lots of other people were very wrong. They are looking very good this season, 259 points, but again, they did that today from uncontested Brutal Beachhead at LAN. They're going up against Acorn and Cold, but they did much better than Acorn and Cold with the same situation. So we'll see how that one plays out. Most people usually give the spawn fight advantage to Acorn and Cold. They're both phenomenal fighters on spawn. They've done very well in big tournaments while contested. They've actually been contested this entire chapter and have 2 top 5 placements. They are looking very good even when they are being landed on. So we'll see how that plays out. We had another team that a lot of people were saying are going to struggle at LAN, Seti and Cammy. Now, obviously 2 of the most, if not the most decorated LAN players since the World Cup, but they've been struggling a lot the last couple of seasons. Last season especially, they did very, very poorly on spawn, and a lot of people, myself included, thought this would mean they would get contested. But right now, coming into the LAN and on EU, they are still uncontested, and they're still looking very good, getting 2 wins in a row from high ground, a position we're not used to seeing Cammy and Seti play that much. So maybe low mobility metas where Seti and Cammy can play more methodical, play their fantastic mid game everyone knows they can do, sets them up for a good high ground take, and without all these crazy items, they can hold it better. Really, really good performance from them. We had Vidil and Rezon again, another LAN team in 4th overall. Unfortunately for Vidil and Rezon, their first game was a 40th place because Vidil fell through the map and instantly died, leaving his reboot card under the map. So Rezon couldn't reboot him, ended up going down, complete throwaway. But outside of that, technically with only 5 games played, they got a top 4. So looking very, very good for another LAN team. Now, 5th place, Predage and Radeon. Unfortunately for the Italians, they are not going to LAN, but I've been so impressed by Predage in the last couple of seasons. A lot of people have been looking at him as, you know, the passionate player. If you've ever watched him play, even for $100 for a victory cup, he is losing his mind on stream. I love it. I find it so fun to watch. It's so exciting, and he's now translating that into stack tournaments as well. He's not just a one-hit victory wonder who can play med kits and zone. He can play really, really good Fortnite, and a top 5 in the first Duo Cash Cup finals of the season very much prove this. We had some other big name LAN teams also playing in these finals, a lot of them not doing as well as the NA teams. We'll see what that means for LAN, but I wanted to talk about Mongraal and Savage in 12th place. So they came 5th place in opens, 12th place in finals, dropping the raft. Now, outside of a couple games where they went down really early, a 0 elim 50th and a 0 elim 49th, their match history was amazing. 3 elim 9th, 3 elim 10th, 5 elim 7th, and a 5 elim 9th. Now, this was on the back of mostly Mongraal solo clutches. 2 of the games, Savage went down very early, and Mongraal clutched up top 10s twice as a solo. So, say what you will about Mongraal and Savage, and oh, you know, why is Savage not find a better duo, play with someone of his level? And we've always talked about, oh, but Mongraal's his friend, they enjoy it. Mongraal is looking extremely good right now. Very motivated, really, really good mentality, and really, really good mechanics. Apparently, he's lowered his sensitivity. I don't know if that's improved his skills massively, but either he's been grinding a whole bunch off stream, or this new sensitivity is the godsend, because they are looking really, really good right now. Now, either fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how much you like Peterbot, I know a lot of people either love him or hate him, the team that's supposed to be contesting him at LAN at this point, Swizzy and Yapko, didn't have the strongest performance off spawn. They started off strong with a 6 elim 12th and a 6 elim 7th, but then unfortunately going down on spawn the next 4 games in a row. So whether that means they might consider switching their drop spot, you know, they're already going down to teams that aren't considered as good as Peterbot and Poyo. What happens when they're going up against, you know, the final boss? I'm not really sure if that'll play into their mentality. Swizzy and Yapko have been pretty quiet, at least from what I've seen on social media. Swizzy hasn't even announced if Yapko is his official duo yet. We're kind of all just assuming it because Yapko is a fill and he's already been playing duo Cash Cup with him. But maybe they will drop somewhere else. Maybe Swizzy won't even play with Yapko. I guess we'll have to wait and see overall. Some of the other LAN teams like Trulex and Cheat-Show, unfortunately, finishing in 36th overall. Again, they did only play 5 of their 6 matches, but compared to a lot of the LAN teams on NA, who, like I said, were the top 6 in a row, and then 9th place, it's looking a little bit worse for EU. Either way, this tournament just has me so excited for LAN. The meta looked so great. I'm honestly totally fine with the jetpack being out of the game as long as we get some mobility in the game after LAN. I think this is going to be one of the best LANs we've ever watched. Both the leaderboard on EU and NA were so incredibly close. Going into the last game of EU, we realistically had about 10 different teams that could win it. On NA, it was a little bit of a 2-horse race, but all the big teams were still up there, and I think it shows a lot about how the game is playing out right now. So I'm super excited. The LAN event is taking place next weekend. I'll be doing a massive stream on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Aussie Antics. Again, if you haven't gone and watched my video of Clix and Veno dropping a 42 kill win in the opens, go check out my React channel. It's an absolute banger.